BYU Management Society. So I thought maybe, Jason, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us a bit about the Management Society?
Yeah, I'm the executive director of the BYU Management Society. I work here at Brigham Young University, and the Management Society is a global organization. It's a professional network. We have 8 regions across the world with various chapters. And our overarching mission with the Management Society is growing moral and ethical leadership throughout the world. And it's a great opportunity, especially for young professionals, to get involved, to network, and to launch and grow their career.
So could you tell us a little bit of something about your chapters? Like, let's say if somebody wants to join the Management Society, maybe you could tell them a little bit about like what would they need to do and where you kind of have chapters. You say you have them around the world.
Yeah, sure.
You know, okay,
Yeah,
great.
so yeah, they can go to byums.byu.edu to get to the website. They can scroll through and see the different regions and chapters, and then you just click on the chapter you want to join, and you just hit join chapter, you fill out your info, and now you're plugged in, and you'll get all the emails and the updates and the notices about events, anything that they're holding in their area. And it really ranges across the world, where the US has some very strong legacy chapters, and they do things very frequently. And they do a lot of events to raise money to provide scholarships. Whereas in Asia, which is your region, Anita, which is a terrific region for us, does a lot on the professional development side and has conferences and business plan competitions and opportunity to really grow with each other in a more dispersed area where the whole Asia region is more connected. And so whether it's a chapter you want to join or a region, there's an opportunity wherever anyone might be to plug in and to get involved. And if a chapter is not as active, we have a whole BYU MS mentoring program. And so you can get plugged into that wherever you're at. And so that's just BYUMS mentoring.byu.edu. And so there's something for everyone wherever they're at. We try to make opportunities for everyone.
I guess people who aren't familiar with it, why do you call some of the chapters legacy chapters? And maybe you could explain a little bit more about that. What does it mean to have a legacy chapter versus some of the other newer chapters?
Yeah, absolutely. So legacy, just the Management Society started in 1977, and it was primarily in the US for the longest time. And so those are the oldest chapters. And so when I think of legacy chapters, I think of Washington, D.C., I think of Dallas, Central Ohio, I think of Salt Lake, I think of Prescott, and a variety of other ones as well. And they all have different focuses. Some overlap, some don't, but they're kind of the bulwark in the U.S. that have just been consistently hosting events, raising scholarship money, having events. And so they've just been there and are very, very strong. Whereas in the international frame outside the U.S., comparing to 1977, is a relatively new frontier in the last 10 years. And that's where we have our most growth. And so we're really excited to see where's the most benefit we can provide, because a lot of people struggle outside the U.S. and in the U.S. as well of finding their path with their career. In many countries, people just don't have enough to make ends meet, and we want to help them. What we like to term earn a church living wage or a community living wage, where they can launch a career, advance in their career, where they can provide for their family at a high enough level. Well, they'll have time now to give back to their community. And so that's a strong focus for us internationally now as we partner with various organizations to do that.
So I guess a couple questions here would be, if someone was listening to this, what's the difference between BYU Alumni and the BYU Management Society? And do you have to be a BYU graduate in order to be in any of those? Because, whenever you have the BYU name, a lot of people think about, well, BYU, that means I need to have graduated from BYU. So maybe you can explain a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. Great question. So BYU, Brigham Young University, is our sponsoring institution. And so you do not need to be a BYU graduate to be a part of the BYU Management Society. Anyone who shares the same principles, the same philosophy, that wants to grow more in ethical leadership, and network and help themselves and others advance their career, we want them in the Management Society. BYU Alumni is specifically alumni chapters, and therefore alumni and be a part of the BYU Management Society. Anyone who shares the same principles, the same philosophy, that wants to grow more in ethical leadership and network and help themselves and others advance their career, we want them in the Management Society. BYU Alumni is specifically alumni chapters, and therefore alumni and friends. So also to be a part of a BYU alumni chapter, you don't have to be an alumni. They predominantly are, and that makes sense because it's an affinity for the school as being a student, a former student, now a graduate. And so they are our greatest partner, BYU Alumni. And so they are predominantly in the US. And so we try to leverage that partnership in the US where we have overlapping, how we can help each other instead of kind of competing against each other, which we don't do, but just, hey, let's work together. We have very common interests and goals. And then internationally, BYU Management Society is the stronger brand that's been around longer. And so very, very similar interests, different ones as well, but they are our strongest partner. And we hope people can be a part of both programs wherever they might be.
You know, a lot of people too, when they think about Brigham Young University or, BYU, they think about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so maybe you could tell a little bit about the unique relationship between like the BYU Management Society and whether someone needs to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to be part of the Management Society. And maybe you could explain a little bit more about that relationship so everyone understands that.
Sure, absolutely. That's a great follow-up from the last question. And so same answer. To be a part of the Management Society, you do not need to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Many are because they probably went to BYU, and a lot of people who go to BYU are members of that church. And so they are the sponsoring organization of Brigham Young University, which the university is our sponsoring organization. And so we are aligned. We have perfect alignment with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, with Brigham Young University and the BYU Management Society as that cascades up. And we work often internationally with the area offices, the area presidencies from the church, and seeking, hey, in your area, how can we be a lift? How can we help? We have our own programs, we have our own ideas, but it's way more effective if we can work together and try to solve a problem that the area presidency is facing because they're there on the ground. And so anywhere that we can, we always want to partner with the area presidency. We want to be aligned with what their goals and objectives are for the people in their area. And really it all intersects. How do we help people rise up, be self-reliant, provide for their families, and then serve in the church, serve in their community. It's all the same goal.
And just to clarify, in case we have any non-member listeners out there, the area presidency is the presidency for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for each of the areas there. But, despite that, even though we work with the area presidency, it doesn't mean that you have to be a member. Do you have any great examples of maybe where people that were not of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints have worked together with the Management Society or, with the Marriott School? Maybe you can give some examples of that if you have any.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've had any. Yeah, no, absolutely. We've had non-members from our faith, from the church, be chapter presidents. We've had that in San Diego recently. We've had our chapter in Côte d'Ivoire in Africa. Most of the members there are not members of the church, nor are they BYU alumni. And they just love the mission and really grabbed hold of it and do tremendous community service there. They help with hospitals, with newborns, getting supplies and equipment. And so as far as I can think of, most of that leadership team are just not members of the church. And we love that. They're like-minded individuals. And so wherever you're at, you don't need to feel, oh, I can't be a part of that because I'm not a member of the church or I'm not from BYU. It's just, hey, do we have an alignment on our values? And do we want to move forward? And you can join, and no one ever asks. It's not a question that's asked when you join a chapter or a region. You just type your name in and your email, and that's pretty much it, right? To get plugged in. And so we really want everyone, especially as we grow across the world, we can't that's not where the growth's going to come from. It's going to come from anyone who's a like-minded individual, not whether you're a BYU alum or a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah, I love that, because one of the things we always say to people here is we welcome everybody.
Absolutely.
Because we have the name of BYU attached to us, one of the things is that people think you have to be a BYU grad, or you have to have graduated from one of the BYU Provo or the Marriott School, or you have to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. One of the things we always tell people is we're open to all. Everybody's welcome. We want everyone to join with us.
Yeah, and maybe just to speak on, I mean, the past, I mean, it started, as a Marriott School of Business, which was the Marriott School of Management back then, as an alumni group for that college, right? And so that's where the network was. And obviously we're very attached to the alumni network and the church network. So there's always going to be that strong component, which we love, but that doesn't mean anyone else, should be afraid to join or get involved.
I'm an example of that, because I'm a graduate of BYU, but I did not graduate from Marriott School.
Yeah.
So, so there's many of us out there who have graduated from BYU and have not graduated from BYU. And in fact, some of our best leaders are not BYU graduates and never attended BYU.
Absolutely. 100%.
100%, so it's really, maybe you could say a little bit about like the growth of where you see the Management Society going in the future. How do you see it evolving? Because since I've been involved in the Management Society now for quite a few years, I've seen this evolution of change taking place. And maybe you could speak a little bit about how you see this evolution of change taking place in the society.
Absolutely. So COVID was a real inflection point for us, as for pretty much everyone else in the world. And so we've had to innovate and see, where can we be strong? Because that shut down a lot of things, right? And then a lot of people who had been serving for a while, leadership, being shut down, it was hard to get those people back. And they had served so long, that was great. We say thank you, but where do we go from here? And so one of our other great partners that is a newer partner, but a very strong one, is BYU Pathway Worldwide. And so we've had great meetings and conversations with their top leadership and saying, hey, how can we be an assistance to your students? Now, BYU Pathway Worldwide is a worldwide school online for anyone to kind of have a path to higher education. And so whether you join and you get a certificate in a certain field, and then you move on to another institution to finish up your degree, it depends wherever you're at, to each their own, but they have tens of thousands of students worldwide and looking for opportunities. And so we're saying, hey, how can we partner with you? And so some of the target areas they've asked us to begin with is in Africa, in Accra, Ghana, in Lagos, Nigeria, in South Africa, Johannesburg, and also Cebu City, Philippines, and say, hey, can we figure out how we can grow this relationship with these target cities and then expand from there? And so what we're doing this year is we're having a business plan competition in Nigeria, in Lagos, and that's coming. It's already started, and it will conclude at the end of August. And so that's something we're beginning with, following the great pattern of your area, Anita, in the Asia region. This is a great core competency we feel that we can achieve. We can put on a competition and give people valuable experience, get feedback on their small business, their entrepreneurial pursuits. We can connect them to mentors and coaches. We can provide a few of them some prize money to help with their business. But it's more than just about that. It's about helping the whole, wherever they're at, getting more feedback on how to have a better business plan so they can become self-reliant. And so we're so excited to kick that off. We know we're going to learn a ton. We already have. And we're excited with what the Asia region is doing, always innovating, having another business plan competition and conference this year, targeting Singapore as the place to hold the conference, where we're looking forward to that in November. And then the Philippines next year in the spring. Hopefully we can lock that down, and just going on from there. And then really it's figuring out that model. Now, we can't always be in person somewhere, right? And so as you figured out as well, how to do a hybrid, as we get better at our model on the headquarter level, then we can do the whole region virtually and then target areas to go in person. And so no one's left out if you don't live in a target city but you still got a great business plan, you got great experience, you're motivated. We don't want anyone to feel that they're left out because of their proximity of wherever their location is. So that's really where a lot of the growth and the focus is internationally, and using BYU pathway students as the anchor, but still open to everyone. Join the management society, join the regions. You'll get the emails, you'll get the notices to know, hey, what's the next big thing? And so that's one of our main initiatives going on right now.
So maybe you could explain a little bit for someone who's not familiar with the BYU system. You've got the pathways, you've got the different colleges that are involved, so someone could understand exactly how really big all of this is, because it's not just the BYU Management Society or the BYU BYU Marriott School. It's actually much wider and bigger than all of that.
Once again, so our sponsoring organization for Brigham Young University is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And the church has various universities. We call it the church educational system. And so you have BYU, Brigham Young University, located in Provo, Utah. We also have BYU Idaho, located in Preston, Idaho. We have BYU Hawaii, located in Laie in Hawaii. We also have
actually, I'm going to correct you. BYU Idaho is located not in Preston, in Rexburg, Idaho.
That's Rexburg. I'm thinking of something else. Yes, yes, Rexburg. And so then we have BYU Hawaii. We also have Ensign College, located in Salt Lake City, and then BYU Pathway is the global virtual school. Its headquarters are located in Salt Lake City as well, and so that's something the church has come out in the last 10 years. Hey, once again, wherever you're at, we want to help, because not everyone can get physically to a location. And so the church educational system, and also seminaries and institutes, it's worldwide, literally worldwide. Wherever you are, you can be a part of the church educational system. And so the Management Society is sponsored by BYU here in Provo, but it's for everyone. And we use all the partner schools to leverage how to find the individuals who really need some help. And so it's a great network to be a part of. The BYU Alumni does the same thing. It's not just for BYU Alumni Provo exclusively, it's for anyone who wants to participate. And so it's a very abundant mentality is how we focus.
So if I was someone that was listening from the outside and I hear all this, and I would say, wow, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints really invest in education. Because there's a lot of institutes of education. Maybe you want to give some thoughts on why, because I should point out that Jason is in Provo, Utah. He's where we call maybe at the mothership. He's at the main location there. So maybe you could say a little bit of why you feel like there's so much heavy investment in education programs like the Management Society, and why these are so important.
Sure, absolutely. I can only speak for myself as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but there's a strong focus on getting educated. Education is the gateway to a self-reliant life. If you don't have the skills, then you're gonna have a very hard time, carving out a living, depending on where you live. And so the church is always focused on, hey, get all the education you can. Don't sell yourself short. Invest heavily in yourself so you have all the opportunities going forward. And so I don't know the number, but the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I'm just gonna say, spends billions on investing in higher education for church members and for people who aren't church members. Non-members can go to any of the church schools. Non-members can do BYU Pathway Worldwide. The church has the abundant philosophy, right? Come one, come all. Let us meet you where you are and help wherever we can. And so it's a great organization, but the education is just so key. And for myself, if I didn't go to higher education, I wouldn't have any of these opportunities. And so we just want everyone to have the same opportunities to really achieve their true potential. And without education, it's very, very hard to do that.
And the other thing too is I'd like to mention and point out that besides that, anyone can join our conferences too. And I know you and I put on several conferences. We know that they're not always cheap. It takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, money, fundraising, other things like that. But they're also welcome to join our conferences and our programs we have. And so we're very much a open for all type of organization.
Exactly right. There's no like, oh, you're not this class of person, or you haven't been a member since this long. It's just, hey, we'd love for you to join us. We'll find space, right?
Right?
We'll get a bigger venue to meet the demand.
Right.
Absolutely.
We're going to say something, if you're going to tell somebody, something about like, what is your favorite part of the BYU Management Society? Because I know you wear a couple hats. You work for the alumni organization at BYU, and you also work for the BYU Management Society, right? So what is your favorite part of the Management Society? What's your passion? What do you enjoy?
Correct. Yeah. So I wear a couple different caps here at BYU. I'm the controller for the Alumni and External Relations Division. So I help handle the finances, the accounting, and the budgeting for the division at large. And I really enjoy that job. I've had that one longer. I raised my hand to get involved with the BYU Management Society when the opportunity came. Because as a student, I knew about the organization. When I lived in Washington, D.C., I knew about the organization and was just like, hey, I want to be a part of this network with these people at a higher level. And so for me, I'll give two reasons. One, as the executive director, I get to meet with so many different people. We had conferences last year that took me to Africa and Ghana, and we had chapter leaders from the whole continent come in for a leadership conference. I got to go to Sao Paulo, Brazil, and we did the same thing. We brought the leadership in from Brazil and meet with them and talk to them and understand, what's going on in their personal lives, professionally, in the management society. We're going to do that again in Asia. And so I get to meet with so many great people around the world. I find that very fulfilling. It's lovely just to meet different people, then also just learn about different cultures and how things work in different countries. And that's part of the management side. The longer you stay in, and you can attest to this, the more we will pay attention to, oh, hey, you're really involved and you're really in it. We want you to
Right.
serve more. We want you to serve over more, and so you'll just meet more and more people. But then just the core of the management society, the overall mission, the overall vision is that growing more ethical leadership around the world. And so it's about leadership and the right kind, and how can we be a lift? We do our small part.
Right.
We are a global organization, but very small one. Everyone's a small player on the world stage. What's our small part? And I love being a part of that lifting of society. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Because, we always say in our area, we have three focuses: personal development, professional development, of growing moral and ethical leadership around the world. I mean, this has been a great conversation, Jason, to be able to talk to you today and to just sort of find out a little bit more about BYU and just, what a great organization the BYU Management Society is. Do you have any closing thoughts or words you'd like to say to somebody or out there, just
Yeah,
our
absolutely.
listeners?
Yeah, we would appreciate everyone who's listening. We'd love for you to get involved, get more involved if you can. Go to the website, byums.byu.edu, join your region, join your chapter, raise your hand. If you're saying, I want to do more, and if you have great ideas, any ideas, we love to hear them. And so we benefit from having more people a part of the network. And we're excited for what we have planned for 2024 and excited for 2025 as well. And this has just been a fantastic opportunity to talk about the Management Society, and just want to give a shout out to you, Anita. We appreciate you so much. All that
Thank you.
you do. I think
Thank
joke
you.
sometimes like a second job, right? I mean, you do so much. And I
Well,
really hope
thank
it's
you.
rewarding to you, but we are
Oh,
very
yes.
of you and your region, in your leadership and your chapter leaders, and are so grateful for the Asia region, who are pioneering so much that we're trying to catch up on and make global. So it's such a pleasure to work with you and your team.
Well, if I could put a plug in here for the Management Society, I think for me, one of the greatest things have been the people I've met. Opportunity to work with people like you, with Jonathan, who runs the global part of it, with my chapter leaders throughout Asia, you really meet amazing people in this organization. So that's why I encourage everyone, join it, be part of it. Yes, it takes some time, but at the same time, it's well worth it because you gain so much more through being part of it than not being part of it.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
Yes, well, thank you so much, Jason, for listening to us today. And for our listeners out there, press that subscribe button. And we'd like to have you subscribe and to keep up. We do these podcasts every month and be part of this community with us. We will put a link in our description to the website that anyone that would like to be able to go on to the BYU website, be welcome to go on there. And just remember, all's welcome. We'd love to have you join and be part of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.